first we have to find the axis of symmetry for this equation, and the formula for the axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a. And you have to plug in the numbers into the equation or into the formula, and it would be negative 4, and then it would be 2 times 1, and then that would equal, the double negative would turn into a positive, and then the 2 times 1 equals 2, and that would equal, and your axis of symmetry would equal 2. What the axis of symmetry is, it's part of the vertex, and it helps you, and it will get you the other part of your vertex. So you'll have to plug it into your equation. So it would be 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 10 equals 0. 2 times 2 equals 4. Negative 4 times 2 equals negative 8 plus 10. That would equal 6. And that's your other part of your vertex. That's what the axis of symmetry does. Okay, now all we have to do is find our table value, and for the table value, what we have to do is just simply do an x and y chart. So we just have to do an x and y chart. And for x values, we just get them from the axis of symmetry, which is 2 above and 2 below. 2 below is 1, 0, 2 above is 3 and 4. And to find our y values, we have to plug in each one of these numbers into our a's right here. So it would be 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 10. 1 squared equals 1. Negative 4 times 1 equals negative 4 plus 10 equals 7. So we put that on our y side. And now we plug in 0 for our a's. And then these will cancel out, and what you would be left with 10. So that's your y for your 0. Next we have to plug in 3, so it's 3 squared minus 4 times 3 plus 10 equals 0. 3 times 3 equals 9. Negative 4 times 3 equals negative 12 plus 10 equals equals 7. And now our last number we have to plug in is 4. So 4 squared minus 4 times 4 plus 10 equals 0. Then 4 squared equals 16. Negative 4 times 4 equals negative 16 plus 10. That would cancel out, and you would be left with a 10. And that's our table of value. What simply is an x and y chart. Okay, now we have to graph the x and y chart. So to graph the x and y chart, all you have to do is make a graph, and then we numbered it to 10. So this is your y-axis and this is your x-axis. So you go down to 1 and then go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 0, it's right here, so you go up 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is right there. And then 3, 7, 1, 2, 3, and then up to 7. And then 4, 10, 4, and all the way up to 10, and then it would look like that. Okay, now we're going to find our vertex form, and what you have to do is you have to find your A, which A is 1, and B is 4, negative 4, and C equals 10. And then you have to put it in your equation and for it to equal to y. And you're going to have to put a squared minus 4a plus 10 equals y, and subtract 10 on each side. You're going to get a squared minus 4a equals y minus 10. And you have to divide 4 by 2, which will equal 2, and then 2 times 2 equals 4, so you're going to have to add 4 on each side. And then you have to get your perfect square, which will be a minus 2 squared equals y minus 6. You're going to have to add 6 on each side. and then you're going to get y equals a minus 2 squared plus 6, and you're going to get this, which this is your vertex form, and you have whatever is in front of your x, you're gonna have to change that into a positive, because you have to always get the different number, and this will be your y and this will be your x. Okay, so now we have to sketch our parabola, and the points are 2, 6, and you see how they're positive, so the arrow is going to be facing up, and it's only 1 point, and it's going to be 2, and then go all the way up to 6, and that's it.
Okay, now we have to find our roots for the parabola, and to find our roots we could do completing the square quadratic formula, and I'm doing completing the square. And then to complete the square and to find your roots, you have to subtract 10, and then you bring down this, your other part, leave a space, and then 0 minus 10 equals negative 10. And then you have to divide this by 2 and then square it, which would equal a positive 4. So you add a positive 4 to each side. And then you have to complete the square. So it would be like a, then your signs would be negative and plus, which would be a minus sign. And then you have to find something that adds to 4 and multiplies to 4. So it would be 2, obviously, and then it would be a minus 2 again, and then this would turn into negative 6, and then simple it, just be like this, square, negative 6, and now you have to square root this, and then a minus 2 equals square root of negative 6, but since we can't square root a negative, yeah, we can't square root a negative, so it will be, we won't have no roots. We'll have no roots since we can't square root a negative.
Okay, so we're going to find our quadratic formula, and you have to find your a. So a is 1, and then b is negative 4, and c is 10. Okay, so your formula for quadratic form is this: negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And then you plug in your b for negative, and you're going to put a negative in front of that since it's already negative. And you have to square root negative 4 minus 1 negative 4, and 1 is for your a, and c is 10 divided by 2 and then 1. And so this is going to become a positive 4 plus, and that's going to become 16 minus negative 40 divided by 2. And you have to subtract these two, so it would equal negative 24 divided by 2. Since this is negative and it's negative under the radical, then we have no roots.
Now we have to find the inverse of the negative 3 to 3 chart. So it would be negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And same, we have to plug in all these numbers, or one by one number, into our equation. So it would be negative 3 squared minus 4 times negative 3 plus 10. Negative 3 times negative 3 equals 9. Negative 4 times negative 3 equals positive 12 plus 10, and that would equal 31. And now we have to plug in our 2. So negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 plus 10. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 4 times negative 8 is positive 8 plus 10. equals 22. And now we have to plug in our negative 1. Negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 plus 10. That would be a positive 1. That would be a positive 4. And that would be a positive 10. And that would equal 15. And now we have to plug in our 0. This one would be pretty easy. That cancels out and that cancels out, so we're just left with our 10. And then we have to plug in our 1, so 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 10. 1 times 1 equals 1, negative 4 times 1 equals negative 4 plus 10. That would equal 7. I have to plug in our 2, so 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 10. 2 times 2 equals 4, negative 4 times 2 equals negative 8 plus 10, and that would equal 6. Now we have to plug in 3 squared times 4 times 3 times 10. Positive 3 times 3 equals 9. Negative 4 times 3 equals negative 12 plus 10, and that would equal 7. And now we have to find our inverse. So the inverse would be, our y's would be our x, and our x would be our y's. So it would just be y like that. So x. And then we would just write them over here. And then we write them. And that would be this would be our inverse. Have our inverse, which this is our inverse. Since we don't have enough room on our graph, we're going to go by tens. So this is our x-axis and this is our y-axis. So 10, 20, 30, like 31 right here, down to negative 3. And then we're going to go 22, so 10, 20, around here, down to, and then 15, like right in the middle of 10, and 20, down to negative 1, and then 10, 0, so it'll be like right here, exactly on that x-axis on 10. 7, 1, so right around here, up to the 1. 6, a little bit more over, right here, and then 7 to 3, right about here. And it's just the inverse, so that's why it looks like that.
Okay, so now we're going to find our inverse algebraically starting from the vertex form. So first what we're going to do is we're going to switch our y and x. So it's going to be x equals y minus 2 squared plus 6. And then we are going to subtract 6 from each side. So it's going to be x minus 6 equals y minus 2 squared. And you're going to have to square root each side. So you're going to get square root x minus 6 equals y minus 2. And then you are going to add 2 on each side. And then you're going to get y equals x minus 6 plus 2. And this is what you get at the end.
Now we have to find our domain and range. And to find our domain and range, it's pretty simple. Our domain will always be the same, which is negative infinity less than or equal to x less than or equal to infinity. And our range, all we have to do is find on our graph, find our lowest point, which is 6. So we just have to put 6 less than or equal to y less than or equal to positive infinity, because it's on x on the right side, so it's going to be positive.
Okay, so today we're going to find the domain and range of the inverse, and we're going to graph our graph. Okay, so the first point is 7, 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You just go up 1 because it's 1. And then the second one is 10, and you're just going to graph it on right here because it doesn't have a Y. And then the second one is 7, 3. So you're just gonna go right here and go up 2 more. And then the second one is 10, 4. So right here, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So since it's an inverse, we have to put our vertex in inverse 2. And it's going to be 6, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then go up 1. And then we graph our graph. And that's it. Okay, so for our range, we're going to have negative infinity because this part is going down, less than or equal to x, and less than or equal to positive infinity because this part is going up. And then for our domain, it's going to be, you have to find the lowest point on the graph, so which is 6, less than or equal to y, and then less than or equal to positive infinity because it's going up.
Okay, so now all we have to do is find out if the equation is reflected, not reflected, if it goes up, or is it narrow, or all that stuff. So it's not reflected because there's no negative right here, so that's why it's not reflected. And then it would go right too, because of this sign. It's always the opposite. So if it's if it's a negative, it's gonna go right. If it's a positive, it's gonna go left. So since it's a negative, it's gonna go right too. And then right here, it's just gonna go up 6 because it's a positive, so it's just gonna go up 6. And then it would be narrow because this 2 is bigger than 1.